My name is Stephanie Hall. I'm the Admissions Director at Generation UK and Ireland, and I'll tell you all about what Generation does in just a second. So at the moment, only 26%, or just over 26%, of people working in the UK tech industry are female. You're going to hear from a few of those 26% today, and about their incredible careers and inspiring journeys, but we want to change this. We want to get this number way up. We're not happy with it being 26%, and we're hoping that you're going to help us do that. All that's left for me to do right now is to pass over to our wonderful keynote speaker, who is an inspiring female leader in the tech industry, currently working at Microsoft as a tech executive there, but also a wonderful diversity and inclusion speaker. So I'm very happy and proud to hand over to Jeremy Sutton.
Good afternoon, everybody, and what an absolute privilege and a pleasure it is to be with you all here today. And I want to say on behalf of Microsoft that we are buzzing to be hosting what is an incredible event. I know it's going to be your generation and not going to uni. Now, as Stephanie has just said, my name is Jeremy Sutton, and I thought I'd better start by telling you about why I'm your keynote speaker today. So, I currently work at Microsoft, and I'm one of the leaders of our healthcare business within the UK. Now, what that means in real terms is that my team of 5 look after healthcare customers from hospitals through to GP surgeries, to help them improve healthcare outcomes, and we help them build the technology solutions that do that. And it could be that we're looking at how we make clinicians more effective, and it could be how we make sure that if any of you use any GP or hospital services, you have a better experience. Throughout my career to date, I've led teams of up to 40 people across the UK and abroad. I've worked at companies like HP, Samsung, VMware, and of course Microsoft. And I would describe myself as a businesswoman that works in technology. As Stephanie rightly said, I'm also an absolutely passionate advocate for diversity and inclusion, which will come clear in a moment. And it's why I'm actually so empowered to see such a brilliant room here today, not just women, but women of different ages, women of different ethnicities. We want a diverse tech industry, and I'm hopefully looking at the future of it to here today in the room, and also hopefully online. Now, what I would also describe myself as, or I hope my friends and family might say, is that someone who strives to be a great wife, mum-to-be in a few months' time, friend, sister and daughter. But I think beyond all of that, now I am prone to a bit of melodrama, as anybody at work or life will tell you, but I think what is important for you to understand is that in real terms, I shouldn't be here. And I shouldn't be here because society tells me I shouldn't be here, because circumstance tells me that I shouldn't be here. Even gender tells me that I shouldn't be here. You heard some of the stats up on the screen. I know 26% of the tech industry are females. But actually, when you look at board positions, we're also underrepresented. Just 36% of all board positions in the UK are held by women. And when you look at that from an ethnic minority standpoint, that's just 1%. So really, I shouldn't be standing here, and the reasoning is for all of those reasons, but from a personal perspective, it's because I grew up poor. And when I say I grew up poor, I don't mean that I couldn't afford the latest tracksuits. What I mean is we struggled to put money on our electricity key, and if ever that run out, there was a worry that maybe we couldn't fill that up again. And if food ran out, which I have 3 brothers and a sister, which it often did, there's a general concern of can we get any more until the next weekly shop. I also come from a single parent family. I have a wonderful role model in my mum, who held multiple jobs to keep a roof over our heads at all times. She did a great job in doing that. But I also grew up around seeing the impact of drugs and the impact that can have on mental health. I had a very close family member who went to prison for murder, which resulted in my family being stalked for a few years. And to top it all off, for the best part, and for me, is that my heritage is that I'm mixed race. So my family come from the Caribbean, they come from Grenada, but we don't know them because my mum's adopted. So what this kind of tells you is an underpinning foundation of things that made life really, really difficult. And for anybody that's struggled with any of those adversities, you know that it's hard and it can be lonely to feel like you can get out. So what I'm really hoping to inspire you about today is how you can go from being a little girl who wonders about how can I do more, how can I be more, who is there that looks like me, that sounds like me, that can help me do that, to the woman that's achieved it, and actually can stand back and offer a hand to help all of you incredible women and people online to do the same. So to do that, I'm going to tell you about 3 lessons from some of the things I've learned throughout my career in tech. And I've started my career in tech from the moment that I left uni. And I think it's important to note that I was the first in my family to go to uni. I was also the first to drop out. I went back, but I was also the first to fail at it. I was the first to learn to drive. I was the first to learn to own a home, but I am not the last. But one of the things that I've learned early on is to make the right choices. And it seems like a really simple phrase. And I want to start by using a bit of a left field anecdote, but we'll look at the Women's Land Army. And to explain for anybody that isn't familiar, the Women's Land Army was just one of the initiatives that supported throughout World War II when women needed to step up because there was no one else. Most of the men who were able-bodied were off to war, out in Europe. And in order to keep this country going, women became the backbone of all of our industry. So they weren't just raising children, they were also in the factories, they were in the fields, keeping everything there, and they had to make hard but right decisions to keep the country going. Now, of course, the parallels to 2023 are not quite that. We are having to make those same difficult decisions. But it is a gift that all of us have to make the right choices. So to give you an example of that, it's your attitude. It is your approach. No matter what you choose to do, who you work for, what company, who's alongside you, but when you rock up to work in the morning, you decide to put your best foot forward. You decide to be a problem solver, to be someone who wants to be seen as the best, who wants to be driven and brilliant. That is in your control. Now, there are a lot of things that aren't, and sometimes it won't be the perfect job, the perfect company, the perfect circumstances, but it's down to you to decide what part of you, what person turns up. And I can guarantee that if you do that, you will be noticed. And one of my favourite phrases, and I say this a lot, is about being a radiator and not a drain. So think about the people. We might be at work, it might be at home, but those that give you energy. And it's not about not moaning, because who doesn't love a good old moan? But what it is about is saying, okay, let's persevere through this. We've had the moan, how do we get pragmatic? How do we get problem solving? How do we make something out of nothing to move forward? And when you become that kind of person in an organisation, people will seek you out. People will want your skills, but they'll want your attitude more than anything, because too often people don't make those choices. So be the person who does the right thing, and you will stand up ahead of your colleagues. I was thinking, what's the word? But that is the right word. Against your colleagues, and really show yourself as a leader in whatever organisation you work in. And I think part of that comes down to working hard, which, I mean, I'm not that old. I'm mid-30s, which is older than I think my brain likes to recognise, but, I feel like it's gone out of fashion to work hard. We hear people talking about, let's work smart, not hard. I'm like, no, let's do both. Let's absolutely work hard, and let's absolutely work smart. Let's do all of that together, because that is what will get you noticed. And I wanted to give you an indication of actually where I demonstrate this really early in my career. So what you can see on the screen is my weekly journey as a 23-year-old. So I used to drive 652 miles as a round trip between a Monday to Friday. I worked at Samsung. I was a partner development manager. So if you think of a Currys or a PC World, I managed business versions of that alongside some brilliant people I was learning from. And I'd wake up in Basildon in Essex. I'd drive to Uxbridge in London on a Monday morning. I'd get there for 9. On a Monday morning, Monday evening even, I'd drive to Manchester. I'd spend the whole day in Manchester on the Tuesday. On the Tuesday night, I'd drive to Sheffield. I'd spend the whole day in Sheffield on the Wednesday. On the Wednesday night, I'd drive home from Sheffield to Basildon. And then on a Thursday, I'd drive from Basildon to Chertsey, which is in West London, to be in the Samsung offices. And if I was lucky, I would then get to spend a day working from home and catching up. Now, I don't say that because I think we should literally be doing this, because 652 miles, it says 12 hours, it's more like 20 on top of my working week. I don't think necessarily we should be advocating for that kind of push, and especially when we've got lots of different priorities going on at home. Absolutely, that needs to be a priority better now than it was 13 years ago. But what I will say is that demonstrated my drive quite literally. It demonstrated that I was willing to go the extra mile, to be the person who wanted to show up on time every day, consistently, no matter what that meant. And that helped me to get my first promotion. So showing that diligence is really important. And I talk about drive in a literal sense, but I also talk about it in terms of your choices again. Because lots of you that are here today are making good choices in being in this room and online. And we talk about motivation. But motivation wanes because we're normal. We're human beings. Some days you have bucket loads of it, and some of you might have had it today, couldn't be asked, and actually thought I might turn up online instead, or I'm going to make myself come even though things are going on that make this quite a difficult decision. But that drive is what makes you stand out, and a lot of people don't have it. So when you have the drive, when you make the right choices, when you work hard, you set yourselves apart. And I don't look at this from an experience standpoint, from an age standpoint. I can tell very quickly whether an 18-year-old apprentice or a 45-year-old senior leader has got that, and there's a reason why they stand apart from their peers, and that is what will get you promoted. Now, the last part to that is about accepting help. And I can only talk about myself here, but for a long time I felt really proud that I'm a strong, independent woman. I've come through all of these hard things that I've escaped, and that was truly how I felt at the time, and I did it on my own. And I felt really, really proud of that fact. But when I look back with a lot more humility now, because what I really see is all of the people who helped me along the way. And sometimes that help might be literal. So it might be actually, we're working on a project, I don't know what to do. Jeremy Smith is going to help me through it, fine. But a lot of the times it's not quite as blatant. If I go back to the promotion piece, I remember about 18 months in, so I'd been doing this all of that time, loads of travelling, learning all of these brilliant things about the industry, about customers, how to sell, how to work in a big organisation. I remember sitting down for dinner with my boss at the time, who is still my sponsor today, despite not working with me. And I remember him talking to me about managing my own accounts. And I was like, no, I'm not ready. No, I'm not ready, I don't feel good. And all he said to me was, yes, you are. And it really stuck with me. And I remember going back to the hotel room that night, and I was like, I really respect this person. Like, I think they're brilliant. And if they're telling me that I can, maybe I can. And it took about 6 weeks. But I remember quite sheepishly almost revisiting the conversation of, do you remember you said a few weeks ago that maybe now's the time? I was like, well, maybe it is. So where I accepted help there was that I accepted his confidence in me. I accepted the self-belief in the fact that I can do more. So I encourage you to, let's not be too proud. Let's absolutely do the drive, make the right choices, but the people that want to help us, especially when you stand out and you're doing the right things, trust me, there are so many people that want to push you on your way, give you that little nudge in the back, and sometimes you'll need it because you won't believe it, but they will, and they'll see something. So take it the literal, take it the metaphorical, all of the help, and most importantly, when you can give it back, absolutely make sure that you do that. So what I want to really land with all of you is that I'm no more talented, I'm no more smart, I'm no more driven than I'm sure a lot of the people in this room and a lot of the people in line are today. So if I could be standing here in front of you, I want you to look around at each other and I want you to really recognise that this can be you. This could be you in a year's time, in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time. But we need to think about how do we get there? How do we make the right choices? How do we work hard and show up in the way that actually makes us stand out beyond anyone else? And how do we accept help? Because there are people out there who want to do it, who have done it, and like me, see it as an absolute privilege to be able to bring people on that journey with us. So make that choice and be that person. I want to see you women up here. I want to be inspired by you. So let's make sure that's the case. So the last thing that I'll finish on is that the event that's put on today by Generation, and also by not going to uni, gives you a real opportunity, not only to learn about the opportunities of how to get into tech, and of course I'm someone that's been really lucky to benefit from that over the past few years, but you're also sitting amongst your new network. All of you, if you progress down this route in a year's time, you're going to be sitting having different experiences with different companies, different types of tech roles, and actually you're sitting amongst your peer group now. So I really encourage you to make the most of today. And I know, look, it's awkward, isn't it? Most of you are strangers to one another, and you might not be used to going up and saying, hi, I'm Jeremy. However, you're all in the same boat, and it might not be now, it might not be soon, but at some point, all of you will become each other's allies. Whether it's for advice, whether it's for guidance, whether it's for promotions, whether it's a new job going, you're looking at your future network. So please make the most of it, and please make sure that everybody in the room today, whether it's me or anyone else, you also, come and accost us, right? That's why we're here. We're here because we want to be and we want to help. So, one last time. If I can be here, so can every single one of you. So thank you very much for listening.